to our first question. And remember, this time we get a lot of questions which are about the divide between the generations. And the idea behind this programme is just to explore some of those questions and other things in terms of these two generations, the under-30s and the under-60s. The first one is from Anthony Robinson, please.
Would the money spent on universal benefits for wealthy pensioners be better used to help young people?
And these are all that long list: free television licences, winter fuel, free bus passes, prescriptions, eye tests, even being exempted from the under-occupancy charge or the bedroom tax. Ollie Grenda, what do you think?
I think, Anthony, yes. I think on the whole they should. Where I think it gets difficult is we work on an assumption that you all look very young and sprightly to me on this side of the audience, and we work on an assumption that you are all baby boomers and therefore, kind of reaping the rewards of a post-war era.
What, this lot here?
Yeah.
And they look very healthy.
They do look very healthy to me, yeah.
Right, okay.
They do look.
So do they need
healthy.
all these things they're getting?
And so, I think what we need to stop doing is stop thinking of you as a homogenous group. There was a recent report in the place which I've just become a member of, the House of Lords, which says that age is no longer an indicator of need. For instance, you might be quite a wealthy pensioner or have quite a few assets in terms of property, but be quite lonely. Or you might have property but be pretty poor in terms of fuel poverty.
So are you saying you can't work out who to give these benefits to?
Well,
it's too difficult?
My preference would be that wealthier pensioners do give up bus passes. I mean, definitely I would like to see that happen. But what I'm saying is that I think it's much harder than people assume to say you are all in this huge lump of quite wealthy. I don't think that you are.
All right. Jeremy Hunt, do you think you can define who are wealthy among pensioners and then say, look, you don't need the money, we're going to give it to that lot over there?
Well, you can do it, but the reason that we're not doing it is very straightforward. David Cameron made a promise before the last election that he would protect pensioner benefits, and he is someone who believes he must keep his word, and I think...
Was it a wise promise?
Well, the reason he made the promise was
Does
because...
it last till the next election?
It absolutely lasts till the next election. And
the reason after the next election?
Well,
if you win it.
He believes that it was right to protect pensioner benefits for a very simple reason, that we started the Parliament with a huge deficit to tackle and some very, very big decisions to take as to the fairest way to tackle that deficit. And we decided that pensioners were different because they have passed the point in their life where they're able to earn more money to make up for any shortfalls. And so we thought it was right to make that decision. I think the worry that pensioners have is that if you start chipping away at some of the entitlements, then others may follow. And so we have been true to our word. We've kept our promise on protecting the state pension and on pensioner benefits. And I think in a very difficult period, I think that shows our commitment to the people who would find it most difficult otherwise to make up for their earnings.
OK. You, sir, in the second row.
I have to admit, I'm quite confused about why we constantly seem to be coming back to this question of whether these benefits should be taken away from wealthier pensioners, because, I mean, wouldn't this have been done years ago if it was so easy to do? I mean, from what I understand, it's because it would be difficult to administer to mean test and giving it to pensioners. And I think we should maybe perhaps stop dividing the groups against each other, because, I mean, eventually us young people are going to be pensioners too, and if we pay into the system, we should expect something back.
OK, and you, sir, up there?
Didn't David Cameron also promise not to top-down reorganise the NHS?
All right, I think that's what's called a rhetorical question. The man over there, the far left there. You, sir.
Perhaps the MPs should lead by example. There's 320 MPs who's been claiming gas and electric allowance on their expenses. Perhaps they could donate that to the pensioners.
And you, sir, there, You sir in the second row from the back. Yes.
The definition of a wealthy pensioner now seems to be taken as anybody who pays tax at the standard rate, which is they have an income of slightly over £10,500. Well, that's a ludicrous
Where do you get that definition from? I mean, it could be much richer pensioners.
Because the government don't like to means tests, that is where the line is likely to be drawn.
Sadiq Khan, what do you make of the argument?
Well, I don't want to pit the old against the young, but I think Anthony's question goes to a root issue here, which is the British promise basically is that those who are the next generation will do better than the current generation. And the way the social contract works is it's a pyramid where those at the bottom who are working pay taxes which go towards your pension. You get out what you put in. But there's a big problem, which is that this generation will, for the first time in generations, be less well off than that generation. I'm an MP in London. The average age of the first-time buyer of a property in London is 38 years. And we're going to have a discussion about some universal benefits, staying universal, the pension. I think the bus pass is very important, Ollie. Many older people need the bus pass to see their friends, to see their family. It addresses loneliness. It's a way of getting out of their house.
But people like Richard Branson and Alan Sugar don't need, but are entitled to it.
If they don't
which
use
is
their
ridiculous.
pension, they don't take anything out. Don't you know how it works? The way it works is you use your bus pass. Richard Branson doesn't use his bus pass. We're not paying for his bus pass. Many of these pensioners have got pride and dignity. If you means test them for their bus pass, they're not going to apply for it. They'll be stuck at home. It'll cost the NHS more money, and it'll be a huge cost to all of us. What we do need to do, though, is rather than pitting you against them, make sure these guys have a proper future, invest in them, proper apprenticeships, get them to work, get them paying tax, pay national insurance, and rebuild that social contract.
The problem we have with the bus passes is, if the people didn't use them, the buses would be empty. They've still got to run, they've got schedules to keep. They run whether there's people on the bus or not. Why take it away from the people who could use it and benefit from it and fill the buses?
You're nodding in agreement, Jeremy Hunt, with that.
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with Sadiq on this point. I mean, the point is we pay for the bus passes for the people who need them. We don't end up paying for them for the richer pensioners anyway. And I actually also agree with his other point that I think, without wanting to dispute the premise of this programme, David, I actually don't think that there is any point in trying to pit one age group against another, because all young people have parents and grandparents. They want to see through their old age with dignity and respect. And all grandparents want opportunities for their grandchildren. And I think, you know, actually what everyone wants is to make sure that we have a fair society where we're taking the right decisions for the long term, where everyone gets those opportunities. I think we can do that, but it does mean being prepared to take difficult decisions when you're in a difficult period, when you've got big challenges ahead, as we all have, and those challenges do change.
David, if I could...
But, yes.
But I think... But I think one of the problems is that you know, kind of, if you got on the housing ladder at the age of these people here, and if you were lucky enough to do the age of these people here,
I don't know which way
on this side, sorry,
yeah, on the older
right. generation, and you've built up a great deal of equity, and it's so much harder now to get into housing, and yet that is the basis in the UK, unfortunately, of a lot of people's wealth. It's very, very hard. So what we would need to do then is have quite a good and lengthy discussion about how the older people give up some of the equity or release that to
All right, well, we may come to housing later on. The man up there on the right. You, sir.
Well, I was waiting for it, Jeremy, and thank you for bringing it up. For once, David, I actually agree with the whole panel. It's not their fault. It is not our fault. It's your fault. We weren't the ones who sold off the council houses. We weren't the ones who sold off the gold at its lowest rate. We weren't the ones who promised 9,000, you're nodding, we were the ones who promised no tuition fees, then as soon as they got anywhere near government, sold out everybody who voted for them, and then put people in poverty, poorer students, put people in poverty to not allow it. You're the ones who did it. It's your fault, isn't it? You were the ones who allowed the banking crisis. You were the ones who allowed banks to unregulate it.
You make your point. Yes.
It's your fault.
All right, thank you, Sadiq.
I mean, the really big questions we need to grapple with is, we should be very proud of this, we're living much older than we were historically. And so there are big questions about social care. We will be looking after our parents because they'll live longer, and thank goodness. There are big questions about social care. Also, people who are older will have to work longer as well. There are big questions about when pension entitlements kick in. But it's an issue for all of us because we will be old one day as well. That's why the idea of having generations clashing is not the way to do it. But I say this, Ollie, tinkering around with bus passes, which is a huge lifeline for many pensioners, ain't the source of addressing these problems. These are big questions.
But there are
big
a lot
answers.
of pensioners. There are a lot of pensioners who actually want to give up some of the benefits that they have and have made that clear.
Well, can't they give them up?
Generation.
You don't have to take a bus pass. You don't have to take your winter fuel allowance. You could give it away. You don't have to do any of these things, do you?
Well, but...
When you say there are people who want to give up the...
Yeah, there are people who are saying we don't want to receive these kind of things and we'd like to give them up.
Who said who are they? Yeah, who are they? Maybe you're one of them.
No.
No?
I agree with the gentleman who spoke at the back about who defines a wealthy pensioner.
Okay.
You know, who does it? The 10,000 business. I mean, I pay income tax, small amount, but, you know, am I going to be one of these wealthy pensioners?
Could you define a wealthy pensioner if the government decided to?
Well, of course, the government can do these
if
things.
If we pay 40% tax,
as I say,
how much would it save?
Actually, the sums are much, much smaller. I've looked at some of these sums, and I think they are much, much smaller than you might think, because actually, usually, most people's definition of wealthy is you know, super wealthy, and actually, it doesn't have a huge impact because those people often aren't claiming benefits in the first place. So, I just think that the problem is that we have to recognise that we have a very, very expensive benefits bill, and we have to take some difficult decisions as the fairest way to deal with it,
and is it
given the
fair
challenges
to do
that we
what
face.
David Cameron is proposing for the next manifesto, you haven't talked about that, of abolishing all benefits for the under-25s?
Well,
so you are...
No.
Is that fair?
Well, what he
saving
said...
how much?
What he said is that everyone under the age of 25 should be earning or learning. And I think that is absolutely right. I think it's completely wrong that someone can leave school, sign on, find a house or a flat to rent, get housing benefit, and then start a life on the dole. And I think it's immoral, actually, and we need to have a society that doesn't allow that to happen. And if you look at Holland, they actually don't allow anyone to claim benefits under the age of 27. And they have half the youth unemployment that we have. And what they do is they find a combination of studying and working. And actually, I think that is a much, much better start for people.
Right. The woman in the second row there, you in favour of that policy?
No. I think it's kind of shocking that it's coming at a time to tell young people to earn or learn when the minimum wage is so far below the living wage. Informal contracts, zero-hour contracts, and a failure to provide people with formal amounts of work skyrocketing, and then fees for education have also gone through the roof. So earning and learning is becoming increasingly difficult, and then you're telling people they have no safety net if they fail.
And you're against abolishing the benefit, yes. Sveti, we'll move on, because we've got a lot of questions, but are you in favour or against this proposal of the under-25s not getting benefits?
I'm against it, and I'm against making a sweeping generalisation about young people. I'm not sure where Jeremy lives, but look, there are young people, many young people don't get to go to Oxford and get a good job when they leave Oxford. More than half won't go to university. Why doesn't the government focus on those 50% who don't go to university by giving them the vocational skills they need to get a proper job? Why not put pressure on big business to require them, if they want a government contract, to provide apprenticeships for young people? The way to reduce the benefit bill, Jeremy, is not necessarily to cut benefits, but get these guys into work.
I'm sorry,
get them apprenticeships, give them the skills they need to get the job. There are more than one. There are almost 1 million
than under Labour. Double the number of apprenticeships. No, but you're just telling stuff that isn't right.
Can I finish my point?
You finish it, and then I'll respond. Go on.
There are almost 1 million young people unemployed. In the last quarter, the number of young people unemployed for more than a year went up by 7,000. There are record numbers not in employment, education and training. These guys are desperate for education, desperate for employment.
Well, they're in the right place. They're in the right place, because in Salford, apprenticeships went up 90% since Labour left the government.
All right. Where, in Salford?
In Salford.
When you cut education maintenance allowance, when you treble tuition fees, don't be surprised if these guys don't have the carrots to go to university or college.
You've got to get the figures right, Sidi. You've got to get the figures right, you see. This is the big difference. Labour is very good at talking the talk, but actually youth unemployment went up by 50% under Labour. Under this government, this coalition government, we have 1.5 million apprenticeships have started. That is double the starts that we had under Labour. And we have to recognise, actually, that we are doing a lot of things. The number of NEETs, the people who are not in education, employment and training, that's gone down by 50,000 since when Labour is in power. So we're actually doing the things that are helping young people, and I think that's what counts in the end.
We'll go on, 'cause